This is the homework help video for 11.2, direct and inverse variation. Now, my questions might be slightly different. If you're looking this one for another class, mine only has 10 questions. Yours might have 12 questions. So just make sure your question matches up with the correct one that I'm doing. And the couple that I didn't cover at the start are very similar to 1 and 2 that you'll see on here anyway. So first question, a gallon of water used to take a shower varies directly with the number of minutes in the shower. If an 8-minute shower uses 48 gallons of water, find the constant. So this is the one where we're looking for some number multiplied by 8 that will give us 48. So to find the answer in reverse, you can literally just divide those two numbers and it will tell you what the answer actually is. Now, also from here, if you needed to, as we know that this is direct variation, you could type in 0, 0, and you could type in that coordinate that it says there, 8 and 48. And if you type in your rule, y1 Sedilla, mx1 plus b, you will actually see at the bottom here that it says that the rule actually is 6 here. So that constant of variation, in case you didn't realize, actually refers to the slope of this line. I know you can't see that second point here, actually. There we go. If I zoom in now, you can see it a little bit easier. So that was another way you could find that out. But for this question, it's easier just to do second number divided by first number for direct variation. So the wording of the question is obviously going to be very important. So if we have any similar ones for direct variation, I'm just going to go ahead and skip those. Except this one says inverse variation or inversely proportional. So some people use proportional. Mainly in England, we use proportional rather than variation. But inversely varies inversely or inversely proportional, same thing. But focus on that word, really, the inversely one. So this is the one where you just multiply the two numbers together and it will give you a constant. So 7 times 42, you know how to use a calculator. I'm going to let you go ahead and work that one out yourself. My question 3, and I think this would be question 5 for everybody else. The number of shares varies directly with the amount of dividends received. If Kim owns 5 shares of stock and receives $12, how many shares of stock will she receive for $24? So I could go ahead and actually type this into a table as well if I wanted to. If I want to get some idea of what this looks like, so I know 0, 0 always, so I can type that one in. I got my 5 and I have my 12. And the one that I don't know is something and 24. I could actually type in each answer. So I could type in like 10 and 24 and actually look like, does that look like a straight line? Now, it might be kind of close. So you might have to check some of the other ones as well, just so you can see. Certainly 3 and 24 doesn't look particularly close. 12 and 24, I think it's just a little off straight, but it might not be perfectly clear. You could certainly try that as one way of checking this answer as well. But really what we want to do is find out that constant. So second number divided by first number, 12 divided by 5 is 2.4. And then we can figure out which number when you multiply it by 2.4 gives you 12. Also, a quicker way of doing this question is if you're, depending on how good you are at your tables, notice that actually this is double. And if we know that this is double, then as it's proportional, the number of shares must also be double as well. So that would be a nice, quick way of working on that question if necessary. All right, moving on to my question 4. Time traveling varies inversely. So we know for inversely, we multiply these two numbers together. So 3 times 65, work out what that is, and then figure out which number when you multiply it by 78 gives you that same answer. So 3 times 65 is 195. So we want to know what number multiplied by 78 would give you 195. Now, with this being inversely, as the speed has increased, I know the time is actually going to decrease. Obviously, if you drive quicker, you're going to get there quicker as well. So I know straight away from this answer that it's not 6 hours and 5 hours, because that's longer. That doesn't even make any sense for this question. So you can go ahead and finish that question off. And a nice little common sense check when you're doing questions. Question 5 for me, which I think is your 7. In kickboxing, the force needed to break a board varies inversely. There's my keyword. It takes 5 pounds of pressure for a board 2 feet. How much pounds do you need for 8 feet? So work out that constant first. 5 times 2 is 10. And then figure out which number multiplied by 10 gives you 8. And same thing, I noticed for this one, the number of feet has increased. As it's inverse, I know the number of pounds must decrease then. As one goes up, the other goes down. So I know it's not 10 and 8 as well, just by using that little common sense check as well. So understanding what the variations mean can really make a difference in picking out multiple choice answers or getting rid of some bad answers. We have inversely proportional again. So go ahead. You've got two numbers, multiply them together to find that constant, and then do the same thing. I would use that little check again. If this is 30 seconds and this time you did it in 25, that means that you're going quicker. So I know it has to be an answer above 73. Well, there's a few different answers it could be. It could still be three of those answers. I'm going to suggest 2,199 might be a little bit high, but for a go-kart, I have a feeling some of these are a little bit fast possibly, but hey, we will leave that for right now. All right, next question. Question 7 on mine, I believe 9 on yours. Y varies directly as x, and the constant of variation is -2. Which equation represents this relationship? Now, if we're not sure, there are a few things we can do. We certainly know it's a straight line, and we know it has to have negative slope. If you're not sure, you could actually type some of these in, and that might give you some idea. But just remember what that general form is. Knowing that general form, y equals kx, makes all the difference for this. So k is just your constant, which you can see is -2. That should make it easy to pick out the answer. So y equals kx for direct variation, and xy equals k for inverse variation. Or if you divide both sides by x, you could say y equals k over x as well. Certainly if you see a division with a variable, you can pretty much say that that's going to be inverse variation. Let's leave that one. Number 8, which I believe is number 10 on most people's. Which of the following graphs shows direct variation? We are going to skip that one straight away. Straight line, goes through 0, 0. That should be an easy one to pick out. That's one of the easier questions to find. We just talked about this a second ago. Varies directly. So we should know what that form is. Y equals kx, except this time we're using m and g in its place. And if I just move this out of the way, I think we can go straight to that last question then. Let's go to question 10. So some questions we can really pick out the answers fairly quickly if we know those properties of the graphs. Relationship shown in the table below. Find out which one it is. So I'm going to do this slightly differently. What I would probably do with direct variation is try and find out what I'm multiplying by. And that should actually tell me the answer straight away. I could actually get rid of 2 answers straight away because I know for direct variation, it goes through 0, 0. This one I know goes through -5, so I know it's not that one. And I know this one goes through +10 as well, so I know it's not that one. If we are totally unsure, let me go ahead. Let me type in some of these numbers. What do we have? 5, 6, 7, 8. 5, 6, 7, 8. And, oops, I went a little too far there. 15, 18, 21, and 24. So let me get rid of 9. You can put 0, 0 in, of course, as well, with this being direct variation. And the first answer, which I already said was wrong, is 4x minus 5. So if I go down to the next line and actually type in y equals 4x minus 5, let me zoom a little bit. You can kind of see, oops, perhaps I need to zoom back in again on these ones here. You can clearly see that it doesn't go through all the points here. So we know it's not true. And it definitely doesn't go through 0, 0, which is what I was saying earlier with that -5. And then you could try each of those answers until you find the correct one. So just an alternative way if you do kind of panic on this. Go ahead, submit your quiz, and hopefully you manage to get 100% for